Okay, so today we're going to go over the male and female reproductive system. So we'll come over here. And so for the male, we'll start off with the skin that covers the testes is called the scrotum. If we go inside, we've got this structure on top of the testes. Epi means upon, didymis means twin. This is called the epididymis. And then we've got this structure here. It's called the vas deferens or ductus deferens. And it's going to join up here with this, the seminal vesicle, and they're both going to dump into what's called the ejaculatory duct. I'm going to show that on a different model in just a second. This is the prostate. So we're looking at everything kind of from the outside now. Okay. Now, when we go here, as I mentioned, we've got the seminal vesicle and the ductus deferens. They're going to both dump into this duct right here called the ejaculatory duct. Now this thing right here that looks like a walnut, that is the prostate. The ejaculatory duct goes into the prostate. Coming out of the urinary bladder, we have a portion of the urethra going through the prostate called the prostatic urethra. This red muscle here is called the urogenital diaphragm, and the small little portion of the urethra that goes through that is called the membranous urethra. Then we have all of this is the spongy urethra and the external urethral orifice. Now, the spongy urethra runs through this cylindrical tissue. So this is cut. So this is actually a circle of tissue, okay? And so it looks like there's two sides, but it's really just a cut of the circle. And each side there, each part of the circle, that's called the corpus spongiosum. So the spongy urethra runs through the corpus spongiosum. This cylindrical body of tissue here, it's erectile tissue as well, and there's one behind it. We have two of those. This is called a corpus cavernosum. The head of the penis is called the glans penis, and then the skin surrounding the head is called the prepuce or the foreskin. One other, well, actually, let's look at this too. We've got the scrotum here, and then the epididymis from this view. Okay, and better visualized from a picture are the little tubules inside called seminiferous tubules. Okay, and I think I already mentioned seminal vesicle, but here it is again. And then this guy right here is called the bulbourethral gland, also known as the Cowper's gland. And that takes care of the male anatomy. So let's go ahead and look at the female anatomy. We'll start off here with this view. Now there's some disease processes on this. We're not really going to pay attention to those. We're just going to look at some normal structures. So when we look at the three layers, we're going to go endometrium on the inside, then myometrium, which is the muscle layer, then perimetrium, which is the outer covering. Okay. This portion of the uterus up here at the top is called the fundic region of the uterus. And then if we drew a line right there and went here, we'd have the body of the uterus with the cervix down at the bottom here. Now, the uterine tube is broken up into sections, okay? You've got the isthmus, you've got the ampulla, and then at the end, you've got what's called the infundibulum, and then the little finger is called fimbriae. Those are sections of the uterine tube, also known as the fallopian tube or the oviduct. If we go, let's see here, we've got the ovarian ligament with the ovary. If we go inside the ovary, we have ovarian follicles, and then this is called the corpus luteum. Okay, and that takes care of this model. We're going to go ahead and transition to the side view. If we look at the side view for females, we've got a number of structures here. So we're going to see if we tilt it and look like into here. Okay, so this is the round ligament. Okay, here's the uterus. So this helps anchor the uterus. You've got the fallopian tube with the ovary on the end there. Okay, so again, this is the uterus, right? We have inside the uterus, you have the uterine cavity, but then we have our layers again. The perimetrium on the outside, the endometrium on the inside, and don't get confused by the two different colors, but all of that, the two different reds here, that's all myometrium, okay? And those are layers. When we leave the uterine cavity, we go into the cervical canal. So this is the cervical canal, which means this is the cervix right here, okay? The beginning of the cervical canal, leaving the uterine cavity, it's called the internal os. Leaving the cervical canal, going into the vagina, is the external os. This posterior horn here is called the posterior fornix of the vagina, and this is the anterior fornix of the vagina, and this is the vaginal canal, or just vagina itself, with the vaginal orifice being the opening. This is the urethra for the female and the urinary bladder. We come down here, we've got labia minora, and then on the outer we have the labia majora. This is the clitoris. And let's see what else we want to show on this one. I think that covers this model. Oh, one or two other things. This is the recto-uterine pouch. So here's the rectum, here's the uterus. This is recto-uterine pouch. Uterus, bladder. This little pouch in here is called the vesico-uterine pouch. And that'll take care of all of our structures for the female. We just got to do the breast and we're all set. So if we go here and we look at the breast, on the outside we've got the nipple and areola. If we go inside here, we've got lactiferous ducts. These are lactiferous sinuses. This is a sinus kind of from the outside, and then you're looking at kind of the pockets on the inside of sinuses. When you make that cut there, it's cutting into the sinus. So these are all sinuses, lactiferous sinuses. There are ducts on the other side, they're just not showing on this model. And then all of this pink stuff here, these are lobules containing alveoli. Once again, we're going to ignore some of the disease processes that are on this. Okay, so that takes care of reproductive. And so if you have any questions, let me know. Stay strong. I'll see you next time.